Welcome to the show. Thank you for watching. Today we're talking about the youth in the church and whether or not the church is doing enough for our youth. And today we have LaToya Hubbard from New Vision International Ministries here in Bridgeport, Connecticut. And we also have with us, Logan, and he is from the Evangelical Church in Waterbury, Connecticut. Welcome. So today I'm asking LaToya, what position do you hold at New Vision International Ministries?
I am a youth director.
And how long have you been involved with the youth?
I've been involved with the youth for quite some time, not in this particular capacity, but I've worked as a Sunday Academy teacher for several years, and prior to that, outside of the church, I was a youth counselor at the YMCA. I worked for the Family and Children's Agency in Norwalk, and currently I work at a middle school in Bridgeport.
Oh, okay. So you're definitely involved with the youth.
Yeah.
Okay, and we were talking earlier, and you mentioned that you used to do praise and worship, and now you don't?
Correct. Yep. So I was a part of the praise and worship team for many, many years. Music is one of my passions, but recently being a part of or holding this position, working with the youth, I realized that I really wanted to just focus on this particular ministry because it just takes a lot of time and dedication. So, okay. So this is the only ministry that I'm currently working with right now. Okay.
And what would you say was the population within your church as far as ethnics?
Well, our church, there are many different nationalities in our church. We have about, I would say, about 50 different countries represented at our church.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, but as far as people of color, most of the youth at our church are people of color, and then we do have, and I think that's pretty. So I guess we lack diversity when it comes to
the youth.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what programs do you have for your youth at your church?
Well, currently we have our Sunday Academy class, which takes place on Sunday mornings. Mm-hmm. We have a support group for our young girls. Mm-hmm. We have a ministry called Out the Box, and that ministry takes place every Friday night, and it's just a place where you can come together, learn about loving God, and where they can also be themselves and sort of not kind of fall into this, I guess, cookie cutter image, if you will, of what a Christian is supposed to look like, but they can actually come to church and still be unique and love God. So that's pretty much what the Out the Box ministry is about. And then we also have something called Swag Nights, which takes place once a month. And SWAG stands for Student Worship and Growth. And this is basically a church service, if you will, but it's geared specifically towards youth. So we'll have things like, hip hop gospel artists will come out as guests. It's facilitated by our youth pastor at our church, and so that the message will be tailored directly towards youth.
Okay, and all these programs that you mentioned, is it heavily attended by the youth?
It is. We do have a consistent number of kids that that come all the time, and then every now and again we have kids that will bring in friends. That we do have a core group of teenagers that attend consistently.
Oh, okay. So my question is the church doing enough that you've seen over the years, however long you've been a Christian? Do you feel as though we as the body of Christ, the church, that we're doing enough for our youth?
I think that we're trying. I think that there's a lot more that we can do for our youth, and I think that times have really changed, and I think that one of the places where I think that the church sometimes has been inconsistent with keeping these programs in place, and also as far as leadership is concerned, I think sometimes it's a revolving door. Like, leadership doesn't always stay, and so having to bring new people in, retrain them, that's been an issue. And so I think that that's an area where the church could grow in, is just being consistent with providing programs for our youth, so that they know that they always have a place to come.
Okay. And as a parent, because I know you're a parent, you have how many kids?
3 children.
3 children. So you're supportive of your kids as far as them coming to church and getting involved in the programs that you have at the church?
Absolutely.
Okay. Do you see, because in my experience and what I'm dealing with as far as when I'm meeting with the youth and I'm talking to different young people, I'm finding out that they come because their parents are making them come to church, but they don't necessarily want to be there. So sometimes when there are events, if they don't want to come, sometimes they're forced to come. And then when they have the opportunity not to come, then they just really don't come.
Yeah.
So I'm finding that out. So I'm finding out if we have a lot more parental support that as far as being involved and actively involved, as opposed to some parents just come to church and they drop their kids off and then they go out about their business. So if they got more involved, I'm believing that if we can get the parents more involved, that we can see more results in regards to the kids and as far as them attending more programs. And so thank you for that. But we're going to talk to Logan because I think Logan has a lot to say. And him being a 20-year-old young man, and I know he comes from Holbrook and now he's in Waterbury. And I just wanted to get his background on, you know, what he's grown up with as far as being a pastor's son and everything, and, you know, what programs that he was used to and what he's dealing with now, and what he's seen just being a youth. So welcome, Logan.
All right, thank you.
So what church do you currently go to?
I go to Evangelical Christian Church in Waterbury. It's fairly big. It's about 200 people, 300 people on a Sunday. So it's an Italian church, really.
And how many youth would you say attend the church?
On a daily basis, excuse me, it's about 15 to 20 people that, you know, youth-wise, from, you know, different age groups from, you know, 14 to 20, 25. You know, so. And
what do you guys do there for the youth?
Well, for the youth here, we, you know, on Friday we have this Friday night service, and we just come together, the youth and the adults, you know, come together and have a service. But at that time, the adults, you know, have their service in the sanctuary, and the youth go to the back room and they have their own Bible study. Either one of us or another fellow peer would teach that Sunday school class, and we just get together and, you know, just really focus on God. And afterwards, after that, after service, after we go back into the sanctuary, sing songs, and when the service is done, we go downstairs and fellowship. You know, some of the adults, you know, cook for us, and, you know, we just, you know, fellowship and have fun till like 11 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock at night, and we're just, you know, in the midst of everyone's youth fellowship and, you know, in God also as a whole.
What are the differences that you've seen with this current church that you're going to and the church that you were raised in?
The church that I was raised in, the church I go to now, the difference isn't, you know, very far. It's, you know, they both excel with the youth, but the old church that I went to had more activities because there was more a widespread of kids that went. But here, you know, we just have our regular, you know, youth event Friday, and then we hang out all weekend. Really, the youth just come together. Something that we really didn't do in Massachusetts was hang out all the time. It was, you know, Friday night, you know, we just hang out, or if we didn't have youth Friday, we'd have a movie night or something like that on Saturday or Sunday, give or take the, you know, weather.
Do they have any other youth activities at your current church other than on Friday nights?
Yes, they do. They have youth rallies that happen every once a month, every third Saturday of the month at different churches. It's where really, it's like a kids service, but hundreds of kids come together and just praise the Lord. It's really moving, from guest speakers to guest bands like Generation Praise, you know, speakers that from camps and whatnot. And, you know, the past week, actually last Saturday, we had this youth rally at Hillside, and it was just amazing. We had I think it was 300 youth alone that just come together, praise God, and talk about, you know, their needs, or, you know, a speaker comes in. This time we had a woman talking about God's change, or what your goal is for life, which was impacting to me. So, I mean, we do other stuff outside on Fridays and Sundays.
So what I'm hearing the difference is you guys have more of a community with the youth that you're with now,
Yes.
like a more of a closer fellowship,
Yes.
as opposed to how was it at the other place?
The other places was, you come on Friday, you have fun, you play pool, you read the Bible, you have your class. It wasn't, and then if you wanted a movie night or a messy night, we'd have that here and there. But, it's not community. We're not, I like the difference because, this church, we're in contact, we're staying in contact. We, contact people, if we're having some rough times. The youth group back in Massachusetts, we really didn't have that to the point where, hey, what's going on? So and so now, next, everywhere I go, I'm either texting somebody from my youth group or, meeting with them, something along those lines. And that's a big change here that I enjoy.
Okay. Is there anything you think that the church as a whole can do better for our youth? Not just because you seem to have it okay where you're at now, but let's just say, because I know you've been to other churches.
I have.
What do you have that you would speak to, the parents that are watching, or any youth directors that are watching, or any pastors that are watching? What would you say that we could do better for the youth in our churches? That would encourage them to either come more or get more involved?
Well, some of the ideas that I've had growing up when I was with my with my youth group, kids would come up to me and say, "Logan, we should do this, that, and the whole 9 yards," because I was a pastor's kid, so it went through really easily, coming through me. But it would go in because it was great ideas. But some of the suggestions I have for you guys is, the youth like to have fun, so the word fun doesn't just mean, go out and play games and, have, go out and party and whatnot. You can do other things inside the church, like, throw on a skit or drama. Like I'm starting at my church, I'm starting a drama class, and I already have 7 to 10 people signed up for this youth event or this drama class. You can do little things like, just, first start off, meet, play a game or something, go out, have a nice ice cream social, something like that, but keep your kids drawn in. Don't let it, like what I've learned is you can't have your youth sit there for 3 hours listening to something, because that honestly would bore me. No offense, that would bore me to death. You got to have your kids focused. If you have that idea where it's like, all right, I'm going to talk about this and do nothing else, you're just going to have kids get up and leave. Something that I've noticed here is we're always doing something that everyone enjoys, not just what the leader wants to do. Take opinions, for youth directors, if anyone's watching, ask your kids what you want to do and make a schedule. Okay, we can fit this in. If it's in your youth budget, fit it in. Do something that they all would enjoy. Because if you're not doing that, you're going to notice that kids are drifting away slowly. If you're keeping on that same schedule of, okay, we come 7 o'clock, we sit, we eat, then we go 2 hours later. In 2 hours we're talking. That's nothing. You're not gonna get anything. You might get something, but you're not getting anything from the youth. They're not, their attention span's like really short. They have their phones out or something. But again, like what I learned in my old youth group in Massachusetts was they always kept in contact with us. They would, ask, hey, what do you want to do? Take suggestions, messy night, or, you want to go pool, something like that. But then keep it godly. Keep it in that Christian aspect.
Okay. Something that you touched on that's kind of touchy for me is the fun aspect. I'm learning and hearing from everybody that I'm interviewing as far as the youth is that church is not fun. We need to do more fun. We need more events. It's all about fun. And you also mentioned something about scheduling. And I know I've spoken to Latoya, and you guys are currently working on a schedule, right?
We are. Yeah, so we're currently working on a schedule and just planning out just different events and lessons for our kids from now through the summertime. And I think one of the things that you said that was so important, Logan, is about listening to our youth and asking them what they like to do. And that was one of the things that we made a point to do is we asked our kids, we surveyed them, find out what do they like to do, and then also finding out just through fellowship with them, spending time with them, what they enjoy, and incorporating those things into our lessons and into every time that we meet, making sure that it's engaging and that it's something that they have fun and that they, so that they want to come back. Yeah.
What I'm learning in my experience with the youth is that they really want to be heard. Mm-hmm. They really want to connect, and they don't seem to be able to connect with their parents for some reason. Well, neither did I at that age. But they want somebody that can be real with them and somebody that listens to them, and at the same time they can still have fun. But from my experience also, because I used to do the youth back in my church many years ago, what I found out is that they also want to have fun, but as soon as I brought the word into the fun, they stopped coming. They started, and I think I might have been a little too strict with it, because my whole mentality was, okay, you're gonna read John chapter 1, and then you have to go home and you have to read it, and then we'd come in the next time we met, and I'd say, okay, so did you guys read it? And they'd be like, no. So I think I got a little too strict with them, but I've learned since then to incorporate a little fun, but not just the fun part. I think what I do with them that they consider fun is that I actually listen to what they have to say. We actually have communication with each other, and then, we might do something like eat together, or even though we're eating together, something, whatever it is we're doing, we're interacting, as opposed to somebody constantly just talking at them. And I think that's what we're seeing. They don't want to be talked to anymore. They actually need to participate and have a voice. And that's what I'm learning.
I agree. I think Mary Poppins had a line in her show that says a spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down. And sometimes one of the keys I think to working with youth is making it so that they're having a learning experience without even knowing it. So that they're having so much fun that the word is incorporated, but it is, and it's in a fun way, so that they're getting it and it's not boring for them. So I think that's been a challenge for many youth leaders, and it's definitely something that we really have to make sure that we're focused on, is making sure that the message is always fun for them.
And I liked what Logan said, where he was talking about his attention spans. And I mean, adults have problems, sitting for, they'd say, longer than 50 minutes and actually listening. But for the youth, I think it's a big task to just preach at them all the time, or talk at them without giving them that break that they need. So we're going to go to a break right now.
Coming to the Stage Camp 2013. Digital filmmaking, music production, acting for film, dance, performing arts, photography and graphic design. At the end of camp, a live staged performance. Log on to comingtothestage.com.
Come in, class. Come on. What are you doing? Bad boy. Brian, Taylor, don't you guys look cute?
Thank you. We wanted to be prepared to talk about superheroes today. Yeah, I can't wait to show how strong I am.
You are strong, Brian. Do you guys have names?
Of course, I'm Stretch and he's Muscle Boy.
Well, it's nice to meet you, Stretch and Muscle Boy. Well, today we're going to talk about a different kind of hero, so take your seats. Good morning, class.
Good morning, Miss Alexis.
Today we're going to talk about our hero.
Like the Hulk, no Wonder Woman, no Storm.
You guys are all right. Those are superheroes. But I'm talking about a personal hero. Does anyone have a personal hero? Ashley?
Well, my mom is my hero because she takes care of me and my sister all by herself. I want to be just like her.
That's exactly what I was looking for, Ashley.
Welcome back to the show. We're talking about the youth in the church, and I'm posing a question to Logan. Logan, what are some of the things that you're experiencing as a young man today that, our youth director here might be able to shed some light on?
Dating, problems with me or dating, especially with the youth. On, if it's good to date a Christian woman at the youth group or not.
Well, I think that it's really important that as a youth leader or anybody that's working with the youth in a church, that no topic be off limits. And I think that that's one of the things that youth need to know that there's always an open door. Like they can always go to a youth leader, they can talk to them about, dating or sex, or if there's an issue with their parents or anything like that. And they need to be able to speak to somebody that can talk to them or discuss these different topics, within the context of the church, and allow them to be, open and honest about it. So, one of the things that we've made it a point to do is discuss these issues. We talk about these issues at church, and we want to be real and we want to be transparent, because I think even as youth leaders, and just adults in general, we can go back to a time when we were teens, and I would say 90% of us were dating, or having sex or experimenting with a lot of different things. And so I think that it would be a little dishonest or naive of us, if you will, to think that these things are not happening in the church right now. Many of our teens in the church are dating, and so it definitely is a topic that we have to consistently address, and consistently make sure that we're giving information to our young people so that they know how to handle themselves in these different situations, whether it be dating or any of the issues that young people deal with right now, so that they know how to handle those issues.
So here's something that was posed to me by a young man. He says to me, I'm thinking about moving out, and there's this girl in the church that I like. And I'm thinking about asking her if she would live with me. And I'm like, well, is she a Christian? And he's like, yeah. I said, so what Christian would want to come live with you out of wedlock? And so my whole thing is, if you're not leading them towards Christ, then you're leading them away from Christ. And if she, which she was 18, and if she is of the mindset that, oh, I'm still in my parents' roof, or yes, I'm 18, but I want to go do this, then what do you say? What do you say to someone who wants to do that? They pose that question to you. It's like, okay, so do you think this is a good idea? Can I do this?
Well, I'm gonna share like just a personal experience. Since we're keeping it real. Many years ago when I was a teen mom, and I began to really consistently come to church, and I was a member of the praise team, very actively involved in church, and at the time, my boyfriend and I wanted to move in together. And I made the decision to not be involved in ministry anymore, because I felt strongly that that's what I wanted to do. And I knew it was wrong. Because I had already received that information or the word was already put in me that you should not be living with somebody, out of wedlock. You shouldn't be having sex out of wedlock. But I made that decision to do that anyway. But I also knew that it was wrong for me to stand in front of youth, if you will, and we all sin and fall short of God's glory. So I want to be careful not to. I don't want to send the message that you have to be perfect in order to teach. But at the same time, it was my own personal conviction at that time that I felt that I needed to step away for a little while until I got some things in order. So anyway, I say that to say that we are not always going to be able to deter teenagers from making the wrong decision, but what we can do is give them the word and tell them what God's word says, and tell them the truth, and they may choose to make the right decision. So in this instance, they may choose to say, no, I'm not going to move in with this 18-year-old woman, or they may choose to go ahead and do it. But the point is that we've already laid a foundation, and at some point they'll come back to what God's word says.
Okay. So Logan, let me pose this question to you. Let's say that it was you. Let's say it was you, the young man, and you were interested in an 18-year-old girl at your church, and you wanted to, move out, and you wanted her to move with you. Do you think that would be a good decision?
To be honest with you, I think it would be fine, because I don't feel like you're hurting anybody necessarily. I mean, you're not hurting you're just having somebody live with you. It's not, I don't see it as a really big deal because someone wants to move in with you. Yeah, you got the saying, okay, you're out of wedlock, this, that, the whole 9 yards. But they're only living with you. I could sit at, Go ahead.
Well, I want to say this. Okay, so one of the things that we try to teach our teenagers is that we have to make sure that we're not putting ourselves in situations that is going to make it easier for us to sin or easier for us to make decisions that may affect us long term. So if you are a young man or a young woman who is trying to stay pure or you know, trying to follow God, then we of course don't want you to, or we want you to make the decision not to put yourself in a situation to make that easier. Because I mean, the truth is that if you're a young man, you're dating this woman and now you're living together, it makes it much easier for you to make decisions or to, you know, to have sex. If that's something that you're trying not to do, you don't want to put yourself in a situation that's going to make that easier for you.
Okay, so how can I pose this question? If you're okay, you can be a Christian and you know you follow God, but I mean, people don't. You ask a girl to live with you, isn't that? I mean, you're not doing the. What would you consider that? Would it be godly or? You know, I mean, let's say I ask somebody to live with me, and I don't think anything bad of it. What then would I have to take the steps to fix it?
Can I just interject here? It's not just that you're asking someone to live with you like a roommate scenario. You actually have feelings for this person. So there's a difference. So when your flesh starts getting activated, then it opens you up to temptation. It opens you up to follow your flesh because you know the flesh is weak and there's always going to be that battle between the spirit and the flesh. And so you're going to end up making decisions or not, and you're going to fall. It will eventually happen because your flesh is weak, right? So the thing is to not put yourself in that situation. Now if you have a roommate situation, that's a whole different relationship. You know, but where you're saying, "Oh, I don't see anything wrong with that." For me, there's a whole lot wrong with that only because, you know, I was a child once, I was a teenager once, and, you know, I know how my hormones were at 18 years old, and you know, I liked boys, and I wanted, you know, and it happens, things happen, you know, and then what? You don't want to put yourself in that position, especially if this is a person that's trying to live a godly life. You're going to want to try to do the things that are following God, and if you are putting yourself in that scenario, you're putting yourself in a scenario where you can actually fall and sin against God. And then you have that whole repentant stage and the guilt stage, and, you know, so has that changed your mind any, or do you still think that there's no harm in that from your opinion? And your opinion is your own opinion. We're not going to judge your opinion.
I mean, honestly, I mean, again, with the whole, I mean, since I like how you touched on, you know, trying to be godly, you know, but you're not following you're not following God's rule if you live together. But I mean, thinking about it, you know, yeah, that can be bad. And so, you know, it has changed my idea of, you know, living with somebody or living with a woman that, you know, trying to follow God. You're not following God if you're, you know, going out of your way just to sin.
Yeah, because, you know, you want to, a lot of the times you hear people say, I want a godly husband, or I want a godly wife, or I want a godly boyfriend, or I want a godly girlfriend. However, what I find happens a lot of the times is we end up causing them to fall by either pressuring them either unintentionally or intentionally, and we don't realize that by doing that, we're actually causing them to fall away from God. So if we're not leading them to God, then they're actually not, you know, we're leading them away from God. And so if you want a godly husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, then you would want to follow somebody that's living a godly life, wouldn't you say? So then we will do things that hopefully will lead us towards doing things that are godly. So that was a great topic. Thank you thank you so much, Logan, for, you know, your opinion on how you feel. And thank you, Latoya, for your feedback on that. And thank you, audience, for watching. And we'll be right back after this break.
Every time I see these guys, I just want to disappear.
I had not a bully. They call me a bully, but I don't know why.
Last time, they choked me and took my money.
They are the one who gave me the money.
I couldn't even buy lunch. Again.
I didn't mean to hurt anybody. I didn't mean to do that. I was just playing.
These guys get away with everything.
I see all these kids with their fancy cell phones, and I try to ask my parents. They argue, they fight. I could never get in touch with them.
I need help.
I need help.
I'm not afraid to take a stand, take a stand. Everybody, come take my hand, come take my hand. We'll walk this road together through the storm.
Welcome back to the show. We're getting ready to end, and we just wanted to give our guests the opportunity just to, summarize what they have to say to you today. We'll start with LaToya.
I think that one of my biggest missions, anyhow, to impart to the youth is I want to make sure that our youth understand how important it is to love God, and I think that that's pretty much the foundation of how they'll live. It will help them to make good choices, and if we can just encourage them to build, a really good relationship with God, to just love God and know that their relationship with Him is unique, just as they are. They're all unique. So we're gonna, teach and reach all different types of teenagers and youth from all different walks of life, whether it's youth that have been raised in the church or youth that are, out in the community, youth that come from all different walks of life. And, the bottom line is that we want to teach them to love God. And if we can do that, I think that, we've done a good job, and God will be pleased with that. So.
All right. Logan? What would you like to say before we end?
Still growing up, looking for, youth groups here and there over across the country. I mean, what I've learned here is that no matter what, you got to make the right decisions, and that, that the churches should focus more on the youth, and that, going to different churches, I like that, the churches, do different things with the youth. And that's one of the key things that I like is, being involved with the church, being involved with the youth. So, I mean.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you guys again for being on the show. I really enjoyed our conversation back and forth.
Thanks,
and we'll be right back after this break. Thank you for watching Keeping It Real with Success. I pray that something that you've heard today has encouraged you or even challenged you to want to get more involved with your children, with the children in your community, or even in your church. Feel free to leave your suggestions, your comments, and even ideas for upcoming shows on our website. And in the meantime, I'm your host, Success. Let's keep it real.